as an example of the 1 times 1, assume that Terrence doesn't have a big problem with addition, because addition doesn't have the division by 0 problem. If you take any two numbers, A and B, two real numbers, right, or make them positive, and take the natural logs of those two numbers and add those together, then you take the exponent of that. So we haven't done a times operation at all.
Right.
Right? The exponential of the ln of A plus ln of B. That is equal to the A to A times B. In other words, addition and multiplication are what we would say is isomorphic, or an ordinary person would say exactly the same thing. So in other words, if you don't allow me multiplication, but you would allow me, because you like waves, so with waves you need exponentials and you need natural logarithms, there's no way of changing the law of multiplication and accepting the law of addition because they're the same system.
The multiplication should initially started as exaggerated addition. That was the whole point of it.
Well, the precise statement would be that the positive real numbers under multiplication, with the identity element being the multiplicative identity being 1, are isomorphic to the total real numbers under addition, with the additive identity being 0. And the natural logarithm and exponential are group homomorphisms that connect the two, with one being the other's inverse. So by the principle of explosion, the reason that people are in part going to freak out about your stuff is that we have a vulnerability. And that vulnerability says that from a single contradiction, if you can sneak one contradiction through TSA, the entire airport collapses. Everything that we do just is destroyed. And so the idea is that the security on mathematics and physics and physical sciences is extraordinary for outside ideas, because the first contradiction in the unity of knowledge destroys all of it. If you've ever seen one of these warehouse racking collapses,
yes,
where some forklift guy hits some strut and the entire warehouse goes, that's what you're dealing with the principle of explosion.
And that's the problems with the identity principle that they've been trying to work on for years. For years, Norman J. Wildberger talks about it. It is because you have to cancel conservation of energy, and you have to cancel the action and reactionary laws in order for 1 times 1. Now, I understand you're seeing one time, but because of the associative law that says if A and B are both positive integers, then A is to be added to itself in multiplication. A is to be added to itself as many units as is indicated by B.
Well, hang on there. If I change the word itself to the word 0, which you're going to say there is no 0.
Why do I say there's no 0?
Because you have, this is why I keep trying to get back to what I understand of Terrence's underlying metaphysics.
No, what I'm saying is that to say 0 is supposed to represent no thing. Nothing whatsoever, but they have 0 as a number, set up as a number. But to say no thing, your brain creates a chemical structure even in saying nothing. So there is, what I'm saying philosophically.
There's a difference between the empty set and
empty set.
0.
That's the difference.
Right? So if I say to you, Terrence, what is the collection of kittens that you have sold to North Korea to be used for spare parts? You would say, it's the empty set. I've never sold a kitten. I say, hey, Terrence, what is the number of kittens that you've sold for the internal organs to North Korea? You would say 0. So
Correct.
0 is
I would say none, yes.
That's
0.
right. So there is a 0.
But to multiply something by the nothing, to multiply something by nothing, don't they have to be dimensionally equal in order to multiply? Like you can't multiply a human by an ant because they're not dimensionally equal.
Well, if there was a thing called a human ant, no, that was your point about dollars, right?
Yes.
What dollar times a dollar? That was a problem.
That's the Dewey Decimal System. That's the problem with no. The problem comes up with the Dewey Decimal System. Why a dollar times a dollar can be different values based on different currencies. That was the point of that. I was pointing out, hey, the Dewey Decimal System is
Terrence makes a correct point that we say 1 times 1 equals 1, but if you say $1 times $1 is not a sensible thing unless $1 squared is a unit that you can interpret. Right?
Now,
that was your point about dimensionality.
Right. Now, the moment, what is $1 squared? What does $1 squared become? But since the dollar is no longer based on a hard asset, it's no longer gold, it's just an integer. It's just an integer in a computer being multiplied.
It's a unit of account. Terrence.
It's a unit of account, but it's an integer that's still now you're able to multiply it under different currencies. States are not allowed to print dollars, but states are allowed to print as much change. So who's to say that the state isn't saying, okay, we're going to print.
We can get into seigniorage, which is the concept of theft that it occurs when either the Fed or a counterfeiter creates more script, thereby devaluing, increasing the unit. The number of units that are in circulation decreases the value per unit.
Right.
But my claim is you're going to do a series of things. Like I've watched how you deal with people in interaction. And you've created an incredible effect. Rick Rubin, the hip hop producer.
Yeah, he did my album.
Okay, well that makes some sense because the first thing that happens is I'm awakened by a message from Rick Rubin. He's like, "How come you can't explain physics the way Terrence Howard explained? That's not a way to get on my good side at 8 o'clock in the morning."
Yeah, but he's probably baiting you.
What? He's always baiting.
He's the best.
He's the best.
I'm trying to explain physics the way you explain it.
Well, okay.
I'm looking for a partnership at the end of this. That's what I'm hoping to win you over as a proselyte.
You can try.
I'm
there's
I'm
part of
hoping
you
that
that's
the information does that.
There's at least one area that you have won me over in, which I'm very excited about. But I'd like to get back to
What is that area? Don't leave us hanging.
the linchpin. We'll get to it.
Yeah, but you can't leave us hanging.
Well, I'm trying to get back. Look, I'm trying to do a service to this.
Go
Listen,
ahead,
let
let's
me
do it.
let me let you talk. You're just gonna talk. Stop trying to control everything, you freak.
He's got a plan.
I know he's got like a very rigid plan.
He didn't
Can I have a good time?
Can I get an ayahuasca chino?